Veritas. It means truth in Latin. It's the motto of the most prestigious and wealthy university in the world, Harvard. Truth is everywhere at Harvard. Or so they'd like you to believe. Harvard wanted to sign the death warrant of the ADOS movement. Actual truth was irrelevant. All that mattered was their idea that they're above the evidence, beyond the proof. Maybe the Latin word for arrogance should adorn the campus, because that's what guided Harvard's disinformation creep. A catalog of bald-faced lies about our movement. A wish list of what we would be. We're done with that. We're done with the elite classes, political, media, academic, lying on us and twisting our intentions. They thought we were far too poor and far too powerless to speak our truth and be heard. They thought wrong. We present Smear Reviewed, the ADOS Advocacy Foundation's official rebuttal to Harvard Kennedy School. We here now, and lies about our movement just got a much shorter lifespan.
Marvina,
yes.
Now talk to me. You saw that Harvard thing.
I did.
Using breaking news as voter suppression. Now, tell me what you see. You on Twitter. I want you to talk to me.
Oh my goodness.
Real ADOS people. I want you to talk to me.
We've been lied on. So many different stories. We've been accused of being paid by the DNC. ADOS is a grassroots organization. We fund us. It's as Tonio likes to say it, it's a small group of us, and we fund us. Nobody's giving us anything. If DNC was paying us, we'd be as popular as some of these other groups.
But remember, hold on, Marvina. DNC got caught funding some people who are on Twitter paying them checks and stuff, and nobody really wanted to talk about how that was on the tax return. But people want to accuse us of stuff that's not that has no connection to anything. Understand something. Have you ever heard me, Marvina, say that ADOS shouldn't vote, or that Black people in general just should not vote, just stay home?
Never. Our ADOS's position, the president, you and Tone, it has been from the beginning Democratic down ballot. And the reason for that is because Black people, more specifically American descendants of slavery, we have voted for Democrats without any commitment, without anything, just hands down. That's been our go-to. Just vote blue no matter who. So that's why we said vote Democratic down ballot.
And understand, we
hold accountable.
Exactly. And let me just say this: we're gonna bring our man. Everybody know in a minute we're gonna bring, because we're trying to bring a bunch of people in here who are actually a part of the team. We're gonna bring in Reggie from Boston in a minute. We're gonna bring on a lot of people in the team, because I don't think people know that we got a team. Everybody thought, since if it ain't on YouTube, they must not be doing nothing. They must not be. But let's just focus on these Harvard smears, for a minute, because it boggles the mind of how a white institution could decide that they are going to punch down. It shouldn't be surprising, honestly, because they, in terms of slavery and in terms of, we just saw the lawsuit, right? Where they told the descendant of slavery that she didn't have a right to the photographs of her ancestors, but they gave the Native American his tomahawk back, right?
Didn't even make him go to court. Didn't even make him go to court.
He said, I want it back, and they said, we're going to give you the tomahawk of your Native American ancestors back. But they took us to court and robbed us of the pictures that the descendant had of her slave in her family. Mm-hmm. So what does that make you think? Just as a regular person who is here and contributes and is a part of the movement, what do you think about that?
That is absolutely racist, and it just is a testimony to the way that America has treated the American descendants of slavery from the beginning. From the beginning, people can come here, they can get off the boat yesterday or jump off the plane or whatever, and we're just pushed to the bottom. We were destined by these people to be a bottom caste, and they will do whatever it takes. And the fact that they would take this lady, this descendant of slavery, to court for her family's property and still not give it to her. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in agreement when it comes to punching us or kicking us down.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Because you kick the bottom caste, you kick the poorest person in the group, and that's what they do to us. Now
Yep.
we're gonna go through a bunch of these because these little myths, poison ivy. Harvard, poison ivy. We're gonna go through these. We're gonna go through these one by one. So let's just take a look. Let's just take a look. See if we can do it.
Myth number 1. ADOS uses breaking news for voter suppression.
Reggie, this is Reggie from Boston. Yvette, this is Reggie.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
What's going on, Reg? People been missing you. People ain't been hearing you. What's going on with you? You all right?
Oh, I'm good. We just trying to get the org popping.
I know, Reggie. Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
You ever heard me say like people shouldn't go vote? Like, you know, we as ADOS and Black people should just stay home. Did you ever hear me say that?
Never heard you say that. As
Did
a
you
matter of
ever say
fact, I've never said that.
Marvin, you ever say that?
Never, ever.
Okay. Go ahead, Reggie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, as a matter of fact, you've called for people to turn out in record numbers. Oh, what you have called for is leaving the top of the ticket blank.
Mm-hmm.
The president and vice president get no love. You know, from the Senate and the House on down, we vote our interest. And the irony is that this is exactly the same strategy that Dr. Eddie Glaude proposed.
You don't want to talk about it now, though, right? You don't want to talk about that now, though, right?
I love Brother Eddie, but he ran from his own idea. And you know, when it was Hillary versus Trump, it was all huff and puff. These choices are not our choices, but you know, second time around, you know, all of a sudden he's running from the idea. So I think it's not necessarily an issue of what was said, but it's who said it. They just don't like ADOS because
they don't like the messenger.
Yeah, we literally advocated for the exact same thing, turning out in record numbers, leaving the top of the ticket blank. And I believe the reason for the pushback is for the reasons that Eddie Glaude actually said, because what this does, it resets the relationship between Black people and the Democratic Party and politics in general. And what it also does is that it sends a notice to those people. It sends a notice to the Black political class, the Black punditry, Black political operatives, Black celebrities, Black influencers, that you are no longer the spokespeople for us. You are no longer the ones that just herd us to the polls like cattle to vote for the Democrats. And that's really, again, what you were right. It goes back to the messenger and not the message. Because if it's us and Eddie is saying the same thing, I don't want to see Eddie on MSNBC Monday.
Ooh, go ahead, Marvina.
And so that brings me to one other thing. So because we took that position, we were also accused of trying to be right-wingers. And absolutely, that is the biggest lie ever. We are not Republicans, have never professed to be Republicans. In large, Black people are not Republicans. Our only message is that we want something in exchange for our vote. We want something tangible, not all of this symbolism. It's about time that Juneteenth was made a federal holiday, but that is not something that is going to move us forward, move our economic position forward. It's just not going to work. We need substance. Well, and that's a big problem with our misleaders. That's what it has been. Everybody wants to walk up to the line, but nobody wants to step over except ADOS. And that's why.
That's why. Everybody want to walk up to the line and nobody want to walk over. You gotta pause sometime when you say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody want to walk up to the line, but nobody want to walk over the line. And that's what ADOS does consistently. We walk over the line because you know what? You have to walk over the line to get freedom. You can't get free by just walking up to the line and saying, well, I'm done. I guess I'm going to take me a rest. I'm going to lay down a little bit. I feel a little bit tired. That's not the way to get freedom. And I think when you look at Harvard, they're trying to bully us. So if we can't use the party to put you in line and make you don't walk over the line, we'll just put some nonsense out there and hope that you just kind of roll with it. You all right? You feel all right? We just kind of hope you roll with the nonsense, and you'll just be like, well, Harvard attacked me. I guess I got to stay within the limits of what the Democratic Party want me to say. Because understand something, everybody. This is censorship. Because what they're telling us is that we can't feel anything or we can't believe anything politically other than what the Democratic Party believes. We cannot believe outside of that. Those bounds are clear. That's what they're telling us. That is them narrowing the window of like what good politics is. So if I say good politics is this, you're going to railroad me and say I'm one thing when I'm another, right? That's a problem.
I think another point that should be said, the accusation of right wing is totally ridiculous within the context of what we are asking for. The reparations package that we're asking for and the Black agenda, which you will see soon, is arguably one of the biggest examples of what requires big government. There, in no universe and on no planet are the Republicans going to go for such a large, big government project, such as reparations and a transformative Black agenda. It's not happening. So for us we're just going to go run over to the Republicans, make no sense. But we're not going to run over to the Democrats either. We're a nonpartisan group. We vote our interest. If you do not produce,
say it again, Reggie. We vote our interest. Say it again.
We vote our interest. We do not vote for party. We do not vote for personality. We do not vote for platitudes. We don't vote for holidays. Go ahead.
And let me be clear. I appreciate, and I think the Juneteenth holiday is necessary. Mm-hmm. I'm not a person who says that you cannot have symbolism, but you have to marry symbolism with substance. You can't just have one. It's just like having the icing. That's like having the icing, but you don't have no cake. You're gonna get sick. You're gonna get the bubble guts. You just can't have no icing with no cake. That's too much sugar. So I think what we have is just like having sauce and no meat, no vegetables, or whatever the case may be. I think what we have to do is just kind of understand. We're saying that we have to have the whole cake. Don't bring me icing and sprinkles and say it's the cake. And that's what they've been doing. And that's what Harvard is doing with these smears in terms of, I'm just going to punch down. This organization, this group of people, they're the poorest of the poor. They're bottom caste. They don't have no money. And I'm going to bully them. I'm going to bring some people in and bully them and say they did stuff that just did not happen. We never said don't vote. Now, there were some people over there, FBA, who said whatever. There were some other people out there who said whatever. Those people are not us. And I think what Harvard did is show, y'all don't even know us apart.
Very lazy. Very lazy and very poorly researched. And also what a lot of this is about when they talk about Black voter manipulation and suppression and voting for the Republicans, what they're alluding to is the Senate reports that came out that talked about Russian interference in the election. And so they've slyly tried to tie it to ADOS. But when you look at the actual report from the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, and you look at the actual report, you look at the SSCI research summary of the same, and you look at the scope of the report, it was from 2015 to 2017. And for those that know, and you can even look this up online, the ADOS hashtag did not take off until the beginning of the presidential primaries in 2019. So that it is absolutely impossible to tie a hashtag that didn't take off to a report from 2015 to 2017. You find no mention of the ADOS hashtag, and further, you don't find mentions of slavery. You don't find mentions of reparations. Ironically, what you do find is that the Russians targeted Pan-African groups. They most certainly targeted.
Ghana wasn't Ghana the place in Ghana was a heartbeat. CNN said of that.
Yeah, like if you look at the SSI report, like page, like 4266, where they talk about the YouTube activity, Black Lives Matter was the primary target of misinformation. Pan-Africanism was a vector. Black capitalism, Black business that we have been very critical of and that we look at through the data, that was a target of misinformation. Like even intersectional feminism was a vector of misinformation, voter suppression, voter apathy. So simply stated, everybody that ADOS has criticized and everybody that has criticized ADOS, ironically, were targeted by the Russians. Now, I'm not saying that these groups are running troll farms, but I am just telling you what the actual Senate report says. What a lot of these people do, they are betting on the fact that you will not go read the report, as I have. Good luck finding ADOS in there. The bots ain't over here. You might want to look in your backyard.
Marvina, what you got to say about that? The bots ain't here.
The bots were never here where ADOS is concerned. We are very real people out doing boots on the ground work. The pandemic is what slowed us down. Before that, we were out there doing the work. And I want to add one more thing. I thought it was ironic how, the Democrats and the Republicans, they were really able to unanimously vote for Juneteenth, making that a federal holiday. Yes, it was no problem. It went over just, smooth as a bell. And my issue with that is whenever they agree on something, you better know the only thing that they really agree on is keeping us at the bottom. Now.
That's the bipartisanship. This people, right. Because let me just say one other thing in regards to that. Marvin, you hit the nail on the head. This whole house of cards rests on keeping us at the bottom. I don't think people understand what happens if we get what we're owed. That means there's no bottom cast right here. You got to put somebody here, figure it out. I don't know who you figure out. I don't know who you're going to put here, but you can't put us here. We gone. That means everything falls apart. And see, the ADOS Advocacy Foundation is here to make it fall apart. Absolutely. Because it should have fell apart a long time ago, but it didn't, right? And that's just what it is. But we are here as an organization to ensure that whiteness is gone. Ain't no need for it. If you need whiteness to be who you think you are, then you have a psychological problem that is best cared for in therapy. That don't have nothing to do with us. Now, we have something else that we got to talk about. We finna talk about it in a minute. Harvard had another smear we finna get to. They had another smear. They had a lot of smears. And for those of you who don't know, those smears will be available through a link. We have a website, all of that good stuff. But they had another smear about how we just be online. We ain't nowhere else.
Myth number 2, ADOS is a largely online group.
Jamion! Are you a bot? Is this some kind of thing I'm seeing?
It must be a bot. Is that a bot again? That was a bot running up in them presidential candidates' faces.
I don't even know if you're real, Jamion. You a real human being? Because
yeah.
Okay, all right. Because they say we bots. Now I remember, Jamion. Tell us a little bit about what you did. Marvina, you can get in here and ask questions or whatever. But I just want Jamion to start off. What you did?
Yeah. For those who don't know, I made it my business to approach candidates and political pundits, everybody from Jim Clyburn to Bernie Sanders to Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, Simone Sanders, Nina Turner, Cory Booker, Andrew Yang. The list kind of goes on and on.
So
and asking the questions about reparations. What about the ADOS/Black agenda? What's going on?
Marvin, what you think about that? Think he a bot or not?
Oh my, he's very real. When I say he is so real, I watched him literally. It's like he was chasing Kamala Harris to her car.
I forgot Kamala Harris. Yeah, absolutely.
That was real.
Absolutely.
She slid in that car.
She slid in that car. Absolutely.
She slid onto that car.
And her body man was like, "I don't do babaji boo." She slid in that car. She was gone. She was like, "I'm not gonna do anything specifically for Black people." No, that's what she was saying.
I appreciate Damian because he brought all of that stuff on the screen, to millions of people saw that, by the way. But he brought that stuff to light and was able to show Black people that these people are not serious. And I appreciate him for that. No other way. You can't backpedal from it when he walked right up to you. There's no excuses to be made. He asked you and you answered. And that's why ADOS's position was Democratic down ballot.
Absolutely. Talk about that, Marvin. Why was we down ballot? Talk about it a little bit more. Why did we do that?
We was down ballot because we couldn't get not a single candidate except for Marianne Williamson to agree to even consider reparations. Yes, her number was low, but she was the absolute only one. And we have got to stop giving our votes away for free. We're going over a cliff. COVID has put that 2053 date. We are told, our data tells us, thank you, Tone, for that data, tells us that by 2053, we will be totally wealthless as a group. And COVID put that on ice skates. I say we're here now. So if there's no substance, no benefits, no policy and reparations for us, we're going to go down ballot again.
Because you know what? Politicians respond to
pressure, not applause.
You know it.
I'm going to tell you something, Yvette. I'm going to tell you something.
Go ahead, fam.
Not too long after Jim Clyburn got confronted and put on camera and asked about reparations and was made to run out of his own event, he co-sponsored HR 40. He put his name on HR 40. Now, obviously, HR 40 has flaws, and we've already talked about that. We've all been very clear about that. But I find it interesting, just like you said, politicians respond to pressure, not applause. So for him to take that step, I think speaks volumes about
evidence. It's just evidence that it's
absolutely
true. It's just evidence that it's true. And you can look at the timeline. We put the co-sponsors on HR 40. Nobody else did that.
Right.
Every other group and Cobra, all that, no, y'all was somewhere. But no, we did that. We Jamion ran up to people and say, why don't you support HR 40? What's your position on reparations? He did that. That's not some kind of online activity. That's a real human person running out saying, what is your position on this? And why aren't you supporting this? That's a real live confrontation, right? And so I think when we understand that, okay, wait a minute, this is what happens. This is what happens when you push people. I think what we should learn from that is that we can push a lot of people. We got a lot of people around here that we can use to push. We're going to put them in the Jamion School of Activism and Journalism, and they can get out here and push people too. And we can have what we need to go forward. I don't think when people say that online, it kind of blows me out. Understand, like, white people and institutions, y'all don't know what y'all don't know about us. And y'all don't know what y'all don't know about who we are. And y'all don't know what y'all don't know about what we've been doing. And y'all don't know what y'all don't know. That's why y'all give other groups credit for reparations. The Wall Street Journal article is clear. It's the push started in late 2018, 2019. Ain't nobody but us. So Marvina, what you got to say about that?
What I have to say is that those journalists at Harvard who told all those lies on us, they could stand to attend Jamion's School of
They need to
research and journalism, because they absolutely, their journalism and their research, there was none. You could not have researched, because had you did just a little bit of research, you would have known that you were just flat out lying. Those were baseless lies. It couldn't have been built on anything because it was lies. So
I'm gonna say something, and can I just add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting because in Harvard, in their own report, they contradict themselves. I'm gonna read a quote from that report.
Go ahead, fam.
ADOS has self-organized regional chapters across the United States, some of which have in-person meetings. In-person meetings. And one national conference, which was held in October 2019, which boasted then presidential candidate Marianne Williamson and Harvard professor Cornel West. So wait a minute. So we a bunch of bots online. How are a bunch of bots online having conferences, well, one conference, and have chapters and organizing meetings in person?
A whole conference
Harvard report.
Go one step further, Jamie. A whole conference with pictures, and the photographer was from the New York Times.
Thank you.
And it was streamed live. Don't forget.
Streamed live. New York Times photographer. All those pictures were them and not us. It was promised over there. You was there, Marvin. You still came and said we are mostly largely online group. We had a whole conference.
I'm sorry, Yvette, go ahead.
Fam, go ahead. You good? I'm
reminded of what Reggie mentioned, Eddie Glaude earlier. He was on MSNBC, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but the ADOS movement, as he put it, American descendants of slaves, who are making hay in all sorts of ways all across the country, and have an online presence. Not with an online presence, and they have an online presence.
Absolutely.
And you have to, because you have to have an online presence, but we're doing stuff all over.
And think about this.
Go ahead.
When COVID kicked off, where else were we supposed to do it at?
Child, what? What are we supposed to do? Y'all want us to go outside and get sick? We're going to get to that too, because they had nothing to say about that in the end, Marvin. We're going to get to that too, because these people ain't right. But I want everybody to know that these are real people doing real things, doing real work, and we love them, and we applaud y'all, and we applaud all the people who are in our teams, who are in chapters, and all this good stuff. Reports of our deaths have been exaggerated vastly, enormously. So, but they said something else too. Let's keep this in mind. They said that we were tied to fringe groups. We got to talk about that.
Myth number 3: ADOS is tied to online fringe groups.
Now, y'all know what it is. It's hard to talk about. Reggie, I'm happy to see you back. It's hard to talk about. They got us tied to the fringe groups. You know what fringe groups they talking about?
Yeah, they say, this is FBA and all of these right-wing folks. I mean, again, it shows how poorly researched. I mean, just a quick Google search, you would see that there was an ideological war that ensued where we ejected folks who aligned, with that. So I mean, again, it's very, very poorly researched. I mean, and again, they keep trying to tie us to right-wing groups and organizations. And as y'all mentioned earlier, Farrah Stockman, New York Times, came down to the conference, did a ton of research. I mean, and she said a lot of people made claims but produce no evidence of those claims. And a lot of people say, but she was on the board of this organization for 5 minutes. But strangely, the same so-called connections that exist within other orgs, specifically other orgs that have come against us, that have deeper and longer standing ties than what we allegedly had, like things like Choose Black America, who had Dr. Claude Anderson very much involved with them, who has a long-standing camaraderie with people like NCOBRA and other groups, and a lot of people, within Black America. Claude Anderson, he was right within there, but yet Claude Anderson is your boy, but I don't like ADOS because they're tied. They have this right-wing connection. Whereas, again, you go through the record, Claude Anderson has a deeper and long-standing ties with these people, but that's your boy. And nobody was asking if or how much he got paid. But if you look into the research, how much did Yvette get paid? Zero. We're like we are self-funded, we are self-organized, and we will not be put into a box. We are nonpartisan. We vote our issues. So if Mitch McConnell puts reparations on the floor, then guess what? Mitch McConnell, that's my man.
And if he puts all of that transformative Black agenda, that's what it is. I don't know if we can do. He did it. I don't care what is behind his name or her name. If they do what we need them to do, what you say about that, Marvin?
I say that everybody's so interested in chasing the bag that they're literally just making up stuff, just throwing it at the wall. So we're talking about whatever group Yvette might have been a part of, or I, or anybody else, talking about way back then. Why does that matter? This is a woman who came into this space and is helping us to fight for a debt that is way overdue. Are we checking the backgrounds of all of these other, we got people that have been doing all kind of questionable things in their past outside of being on some board. Listen, and I've said it every time I was confronted with it. I don't care riding, walking, or running. What you say Yvette or Tone did back when, I didn't know them. We talking about ADOS and reparations now. I believe in this movement. I believe in what they brought to this movement. I believe in their sincerity. ADOS is not a part of anybody or anything except ADOS and Black Agenda. And as Dr. King said, we coming to get our check.
Oh, and can I say something?
Let's see this visual right quick. Let's see his visual. Look at that visual. See, they said NARC and COBRA, and they already said no more, though, the rise of ADOS, FBA, National Assembly, and Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. I want to talk about that real quick. Because we got to talk about it. We're not tied to any of them people. As a matter of fact, everybody except in COBRA is kind of a carbon copy of ADOS. And if you want to do that, you can copy whatever you want to copy. If you want to go copy somebody's shoes, their outfit, whatever, you can copy whatever you want to copy. That's your thing to copy. This right here, though, is the original. I gotta ask if you want Coca-Cola or if you want the cola brand from the Kroger. Now, I'm not talking about what you can afford. We poor. I'm talking about what you want. Do you want the original or whatever? We're not tied to them. We had a whole fight because somebody tried to shoehorn their way into the movement. That is not a movement. FBA is not a movement. None of the people that we just saw as a movement. That people say, oh, this looks like a good thing. I'm gonna jump on board. That's fine. If y'all want to grift, I got a problem with grifting, but that's your thing. We are the truth. That's just what we are. It's just what it is. I don't care who say different. It don't matter. That's just who we are. And let me just say something about, Yvette was a part of whatever. I get to do what I want. I'm grown. Now listen, what I do though is always for the collective uplift. I would love to be a part of any kind of organization that is willing to fund some kind of study to talk about how we're impacted, because I don't have money. When I don't have money, I go say, hey, you over there with the money, can you do this? Because this should be done. What they're trying to do is say that we don't have a right to have any opinion that diverges from the Democratic Party, right? Now, listen, I've been a Democrat all my life. I've worked for Democrats on Capitol Hill. You're not my mama, you're not my daddy. You don't have a right to tell me how to think. And when I see that you're not serving my people, I have a right to say I get to push back. You don't get to bully me and call me a right winger. I've never voted Republican. You don't get a right to do that and lie on me. You don't get a right to do that. That's not how we do this. That's not how we do none of this. You cannot lie on me and be believed, or you should not be believed in terms of what I want to do. I get to do what I want to do. But see, freedom is not just physical. We're celebrating Juneteenth, the physical freedom in terms of what we're talking about, slavery, Texas, when they learned, all of that. But there's also a mental freedom. And these folks don't want us to be mentally free. They don't want us to say, hey, I'm not going Republican. I'm not going Democrat. I'm going in the direction that's best for my people. I'm going to have an agenda, and I'm going to go in that direction. And whichever group decides to give that to me, that's who I side with. They don't want free thinking ADOS folk. That's what they don't want. But that's what they got, and that's what they got to deal with.
Yeah, they don't want ADOS to be free, but they'll let other people run around. If you want to talk about even present day right wing connection, look at the Black News Channel. The BNC. Ain't JC Watts the front man for that?
And yep. And
Shahid Khan, one of the owners of a sports team, and all those sports teams, they Trump all the way, and they love using black bodies to increase their profits. What does that sound like, Yvette? Does it sound like slavery to you?
Yeah, sounds like slavery. Sounds like Black Lives Matter. Sounds like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so these actual right wingers can set up a Black News Channel, and all the leftists come running. I'm not gonna say no names, but I've been seeing some left leaning faces on this right wing TV. Somebody make it make sense to me.
Somebody make it make sense to me. We see these red roses everywhere. They get to do whatever they want to do. Be whatever they want to say, whatever they want to say. They can even switch up. I saw a red rose the other day who grew up at a boarding school, did all that stuff, now wants to speak for me. No, you don't get to speak for us. That's what they don't want, though.
That's right.
Nobody wants us to speak for ourselves and have our own voice be heard, right? Nobody wants us to say, listen, you don't get to tell me what I want. I get to tell you what I need.
Right.
That's not your job is not to define me or tell me what's best, or no, we're not going to do reparations and all that kind of stuff. That's not how we're doing none of this. But that's what they want to do. And that's why everybody is coming to terms with the fact that ADOS is the truth, because we are full-throated in our agenda, in who we back, in terms of specificity, in terms of our group and how we advocate, and nobody can match that. Yeah, there are people who can talk, but they're never going to do nothing about politics. A lot of people talk loud and never do nothing about politics. A lot of people don't talk loud but engage in politics, but you won't talk about the real truth. What we're saying now, though, is that we're here, and we're here to deal with the real truth. We're here to deal with what happens. We're here to take care of our people. We're here standing in the shoes, and we're not moving.
And we're not afraid of Trump.
No.
As ADOS people, we have been dealing with Trumps from the beginning of time. It's just one Trump after another, even the one that came wrapped in black skin. It just is what it is. We're not going to be, you're not going to be able to use fear to push us into that. You're just not, and we're not children. As Yvette said, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy. I will do whatever I want to do, which is whatever is best for my people.
Yeah, this boogeyman talk ain't gonna work. And let me just quote you, Yvette, real quick. You said on a show a little far back, that we're not going to be scared by these boogeymen. And I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but I believe you said that we are okay with inflicting and enduring short-term pain to secure long-term power. So just understand that that's the play. 2022, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34. We can keep this going. We're getting the babies ready.
Because let me just say that's what politicians understand. They don't understand nothing else. Like you see Clyburn, sugar, shine shoes. No, politicians understand. Oh my God, these people cost the Democratic president the election. They're serious about their agenda. They are deadly serious. They are venomous. That's what they understand. They don't understand you saying what happens all the time now, Reggie. You know what happens all the time? It's a process. We repeat it. It's a pattern, and it happens every time. You go in, we vote. We didn't vote top of the ticket for neither one of them, but they vote top of the ticket Democrat. And they said we're gonna hold them accountable. They get in there and they say what? Oh my Lord, these people is taking us for granted. Never again is we gonna ever do it. Oh my mama, I'm not gonna let it happen again. And what happens when they run again?
That Republican boogeyman come.
Yep.
Same thing.
Oh, what did our current president say? Oh, they're gonna put you back in chains.
They're gonna put you back in chains. Don't you Negroes understand? And then he got into the NAACP and what he say? Y'all just got to learn to get along with the Latinos and do the best you can. What? I'm sorry, what?
Well, actually, he said it. You better learn to get along with them. Whoa. He sound like he was somebody daddy.
Jim Crow Joe? That's what he said.
Yes, ma'am. And he had the nerves to tell us if we don't vote for him, we ain't black.
We ain't black. How does a white man tell you ain't black?
And then
everything that comes with whiteness.
What I found particularly offensive, I believe he said this down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that don't expect a lot for reparations. A flashpoint in history that makes the case for reparations, and say, "Oh, don't expect no movement on this." Okay, don't expect me to move at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, don't expect it. Don't expect, and you didn't say nothing bad about Joe Manchin. We understand he over there. You ain't said that he need to do XYZ. So everybody's like, "Well, it's Joe Manchin Senate." Well, then I'm not voting it. I ain't heard too much about reparations from. I'm gonna get into it too deep. But one, I can't say it too much. I mean, I don't think people understand it in terms of Georgia. Black voters turned this state blue, and for what? Politics is an exchange. It's not a gift. So what do we turn this state? What do we change this colors for? If we're not gonna get nothing out of it, I don't want to just change colors for the sake of I like blue over red. No, it's supposed to benefit us in a specific kind of way.
Yep.
And I'm here in Warnock, I ain't even dealing with black people or black organizations. You ain't heard it from me.
Yeah, I don't understand the kowtowing to Joe Manchin. Just tack an R to his forehead and kick him over with the Confederates where he want to be.
They get us a new D. Yep. And at least say, like, listen, this is messed up or whatever, because that's what he is. I mean, come on. Byrd was the senator there. Come on, the KKK, the Klansman, that's his mentor. What you expect from that man, except for more racism and different? What you expect? Can't have many expectations. But that's the same stuff that they're doing is the same stuff that kind of Harvard does in terms of how they talk about us, how they deal with us, and how they want to control how we think and how we move and how we navigate. You can't tell me, and y'all can tell me in the chat or whatever, but you can't tell me that this wasn't a case of let's make these Negroes be quiet. These Negroes advocating too much. These Negroes talking too much. These Negroes figuring out what they want too much. No. Yeah, we are, but you don't get to tell us that it's not true. Well, we ain't scared of you. We come from a different, see, what they don't understand, Marvina and Reggie, is we come from a different generation. We don't come from the generation, this most recent one, these most past 20 years where you scared. We come from a generation where we'll stand up in front of you, whatever rope you got, whatever bullet you got, we fight for freedom. And if we don't get it, somebody else get it. That's what we come from. That's the shoulders that we stand on. Forget these little shoulders that came later. We stand on a different kind of shoulders. And they don't get that. They don't understand that. But we are here. That's the point of ADOS Advocacy Foundation. We are here to make them understand that you are not engaging with scared Negroes no more. We're going back to King. We're going back to everybody who was willing to stand on what they stand on, come what may. This is not the Clyburn generation. Not me or the people that are coming after me.
Yep. We're not standing on the shoulders of those who backed Manchin's so-called compromise. Did you see that news today? Since we're talking about our people in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, ironically, breaking news: Stacey Abrams backs Manchin's voting rights compromise. Have mercy. Is what?
Does she have a fiction book out? She's writing fiction. She's been writing fiction. But she's writing it. It's a nail biter.
but it's just so disheartening. Someone whose campaign actually suffered from voter suppression from the right kowtows to a Democrat who kowtows to the right.
Yeah.
What a waste of political talent. This is crazy.
She has a business too, Reggie. You forget that what black politics has become is an entryway. It's an entryway to business now, right? So people forget that that's what it's become. It's an entryway to business. She has another business that's about, well, can't she do business? Why she do this? Can't she do business? No.
Nope.
This supposed to be your mission. What are you doing? We thought you was doing this. You in business with this other person. You in finance, and then you over here writing nonfiction books. You've been writing nonfiction books, but you don't have nothing. No, everybody, listen. Everybody's getting the bag. BLM founders or whatever, they got the bag. They done ran off. They threw Patrice Cullors out of there. Everybody got the bag. But politics is not supposed to be a stepping stone, right? To who gets the bag. Politics is supposed to be, I'm fighting for my people. I'm a freedom fighter. That's right. It. Period. The end. What you think about that, Marvin? You think that, or you think they just what's up with that? Why they so bag hungry?
Well, I'll tell you what, you said a mouthful when you said we are not those other people that came before us. Love them because those are our families.
I love you. But I hate you.
Different. We are fed up. The baby boomers and the people that came before us, they benefited really well from all of those civil rights pushes. They came out at the right time. Things are different now. And it's not enough. Things are not happening the same way for us that happened for them. That was during a time when King and others had put the focus on what Black people needed at the moment. This is a different moment. We can't fight the same. That's why ADOS is different. That's why I appreciate it. This is a new fight.
Absolutely. And I think, and we are fighting, right? And we are talking about this Harvard fight. And, we just talked about how they said we were tied to online Fringe groups, and we aren't. We're our own group. But they said something else that we're going to have to talk about in terms of how Harvard, let's just understand why we're going to get to some other stuff soon, fam. But we have to talk about what Harvard did to us, right? And the next thing they did was they said, as we move on, that we disrespected Chadwick Boseman.
Myth number 4. ADOS disrespected Chadwick Boseman.
What's going on, Paul Sowers?
Hi there. Hey, Marvina.
So many who was supposed to get a pen. And we shout out. We gotta give Paul his flowers for writing that Harvard report and putting all in. And y'all gotta. We'll get to the call to actions at the end. But shout out to you. And maybe in a second we can get some of those tweets up there because they accused us,
right,
of basically using this actor that Antonio and I both respected, and ADOS respected and loved, and we didn't even know he was sick. We were all devastated. Yeah. They accused us of using him to further our own means.
Right. So I guess like the supposedly big finding from this section is ADOS's engagement in disinformation creep extends to popular culture. That's what the report says. Disinformation creep extends to popular culture. And this phenomenon, the authors argue, can be most kind of clearly observed in the movement's response to the death of Chadwick Boseman. And I should say, like, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, it's like pretty revolting that his death was like so needlessly and exploitatively used by the folks at Harvard to basically punch down on the one movement that is completely committed to repairing his people. But so like disinformation creep, it's like a weird phrase. Like what does it even mean? So here's the report's own definition of disinformation creep. Disinformation creep is a phenomenon in which legitimate positions and information are slightly distorted and reinterpreted to leverage a separate position entirely, one that may even be at odds with the interests that it purports to support. But what's so interesting about the author's 16-page peer-reviewed study from the country's premier university, a report that claims to conclusively prove that ADOS engages in disinformation creep, is that not only does it fail sort of so miserably. But one could very easily make the argument that the report itself is a total exercise in disinformation creep. And that actually, the Chadwick Boseman section, what's kind of so interesting about it is that this is where that irony and that hypocrisy is actually the most pronounced. So in that section, they say, in contrast to the centrality of Boseman's passing in the larger Black cultural conversation, and despite Chadwick Boseman being a native-born Black American, his passing on August 28th, 2020, barely registered in the ADOS conversation, with figure 1 showing the low number of tweets that ADOS made on the day that he died. And they go on to argue that the strong Pan-Africanist message and imagination of the film instead made it a target. See, the thing is, there's one phrase in particular there in that section that jumps out. And that's with figure 1 showing the low number of tweets on the day Chadwick Boseman died. Because if they're in fact basing their claim on the number of tweets on the day that Chadwick Boseman died, then it seems very, very important to note that news of Boseman's death was first reported just after 10 p.m. on August 28th. His Twitter account posted the news at 10:11 p.m. And what that means is that while the Harvard Kennedy School folks they're implying that they took a whole day's worth of ADOS Boseman related Twitter content to analyze. Well, they are in fact really only looking about 110 minutes worth of tweets.
Whew, that's damning.
Obviously, given the very slim window of observation, the number of tweets is going to be conspicuously low. If the authors of this report were interested in honesty and accuracy in assessing such a totally ludicrous hypothesis to begin with, if they wanted to do this thing with a shred of integrity, then they would have used tweets posted a full 24 hours from the announcement of Boseman's death, right?
Yeah.
Plus, the researchers' sole criteria for compiling the ADOS Boseman-related content was tweets that included hashtag ADOS. Now, I'd invite anyone to tell me why people in the movement would even necessarily have to include hashtag ADOS in their tweets about Boseman's death.
We wouldn't.
Perhaps.
For the most part, I did because I claimed him as my own, right? But most of the people were just rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I said he may have played T'Challa on the silver screen, but he was ADOS. He was ours. Rest easy. That's like saying if somebody said my Latino brethren, or if somebody said my Haitian brother, nobody would say, oh my God, you're engaged in mission creep. We also went to Boseman and I are both Howard University graduates. Right. So I was doing that in the sense of I feel like he's ours. It wasn't anything to push ADOS. I didn't say, hey, support this or support that. I just said, you were ours and we loved you. And I think that is a way to kind of, to kind of say farewell, goodbye to somebody who we didn't even know was sick. Right. And so to go into that and sort of somehow say, well, you all blah, 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 it doesn't make any sense.
It's very, very odd. And perhaps it would have been, a lot more relevant, like you were saying, to look at ADOS accounts that used RIP Chadwick Boseman. That was the trending hashtag when this was announced. And so again, all of this is to say that I think we have to again consider the author's own definition of disinformation creep, of what they accuse the ADOS movement of doing, of one, taking legitimate information. So they say, look, we analyzed ADOS Boseman specific content from the day that Chadwick Boseman died. And two, slightly distorting or reinterpreting that legitimate information. So they say, look, we found scant evidence of ADOS engagement with Boseman's death, even though their data set was less than 1/10 of that day's total tweets. And then three, for disinformation creep, is you use that to leverage a separate position entirely. And so now they say this low engagement proves how fanatically anti-Pan-Africanist and anti-Black the ADOS movement is. Now that is disinformation creep. The Kennedy School has just provided a masterclass on how to carry out disinformation creep in a report about the dangers of that very phenomenon. So yeah, The Chadwick Boseman section, it's hands down out of the whole report, it's the most bizarre, it's the most hypocritical, and it's a deeply stupid section of the report, which is saying a lot since that whole document is kind of a sprawling wasteland of scholarship. But I think this section in particular is where the authors just really outdo themselves in terms of the pure nonsense and outright deceit they're willing to really pack into this thing. And I think it's for that reason that, according to a study that was put out in May of last year, it was revealed that Harvard has the highest number of retractions, and that the main reason for those retractions was that the data of their researchers was bad.
Oh,
This is right in line with that. I don't know who they thought they were writing about when they did this, but they obviously didn't know that the ADOS movement lives and breathes data, and they picked the wrong one this time.
absolutely, Marvin, you got some words, because they said we used him to push reparations. Look at those tweets from Antonio and I. We both rest in peace. Just Antonio's. I said rest in peace. He's ours. We love him. Whatever. We didn't say any of that. So, like, Marvin,
I didn't see one ADOS person say or do anything disrespectful towards the loss of that brother. It's just ridiculous. It's just more in line with what Harvard did. It's just like they just dreamed up every single possible smear that they could smear us with, and they just pushed it. And it wasn't based on anything except the fact that their pure disdain for ADOS, because we're fighting for what we're owed. And we already know Harvard has proved over and over how they feel about Black people, more specifically how they feel about those of us who descended from chattel slavery.
What do they think we stupid? Is that what they think? Like we never gonna figure this out. We never gonna figure this out. That's what Poison Ivy thought. Hashtag Poison Ivy, y'all, tomorrow.
Who cares?
Yeah, right? We
they
just
won't say anything. We'll just say it. They won't say anything. We're Harvard.
That's
what
right.
What are they going to say?
It's just like everybody else in America. We've been their punching bags, we've been their mules, and everybody thinks that they get the boo-boo on ADOS.
Yeah.
Well, time to change.
No more.
They in trouble now. They're gonna have some things to deal with now, because we ain't putting up with that no more. Because that never happened. We never used him to push anything that we were doing. We didn't say, "Hey, Chadwick Boseman was ADOS, so join our whatever." We didn't do that. We said rest easy, King, or rest in peace. We never did none of that. Absolutely. So you just lied. What you're showing is that Harvard University just said something that was untrue. They said something about us using this phenomenal actor who had passed on. They said we were using him. And let me tell you why I think they said that too. Because if you don't know that didn't happen, and somebody tells you the ADOS used that to push their own agenda, you'll be like, oh my God, they must be horrible.
Yeah.
I would think somebody who did that was horrible.
Yep.
I think that's part of the reason that they did it, if not the whole reason.
They used his death. That's the point. They used his death to push that. ADOS didn't do anything. My feeds were nothing but a sort of outpouring of sympathy and heartache at his passing, from what I saw.
Yeah, and Harvard needs to retract this. It's smear after smear after smear after smear.
The entire document.
Retract this. And I think when we get to the end, we talk about a call to action. Listen, folks, we got to show up. We got to make sure that these people retract this stuff. People just can't keep lying on us with impunity. We can show you that this thing that you said happened never happened. And so you are engaging in disinformation creep on your own. Nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. So any of y'all, if either one of y'all have any last words before we move, because Harvard did something else. We're gonna get to COVID-19, but I want to let you all have the last word before we move on.
I'm just saying, it's just what you said. We are fighting back. We're done accepting this stuff. We are coming. If you come for us, you better be on your square, and you better be coming with facts, because we're not going to lay down and take it. We have something to say.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I would just echo that. The ADOS Advocacy Foundation is now here to amplify that resistance. People are going to hear it.
Amplify that resistance. Now we're about to get to the next one, fam. Harvard's COVID lie about us. This smear went deep. These smears went deep.
Myth number 5. ADOS showed lack of concern over COVID-19's impact.
We here, fam. I just love bringing in. We gonna get to this section in a minute where I take all the questions from chapters and people who answered the survey. But fam, let me just start off and I'm gonna let y'all just go. I just want to say one thing. I have ended almost every show with wear your mask, pre-vaccine, right? And I'm not telling nobody to do nothing, take it, I'm not telling you to do nothing, but I told everybody my testimony, regardless of how you feel. I said I took the vaccine, I took Pfizer, and I said wear your mask. That was my mantra after each show. If we can get that tweet up, Antonio did a show early, like February, where he talked about everybody. He said what mask you need. He talked about why it's important. He talked about the numbers, because I didn't even, when he told me, I said, Antonio, are you sure you're right? He said, listen, Yvette, these numbers don't make sense. This is about to be a pandemic. And I said, I don't know. And he said, I'm telling you. And he broke it down. And I said, all right, that makes sense. I think you got a point. I think we got a problem on our hands. And that was before, like, even if you go look at that video in line with like what health professionals were saying, what Fauci was saying, what everybody was saying, everybody said, well, it's kind of wear your mask, do whatever. He was saying, no, it's going to be big time. This is going to be a big deal. Get these masks, get this. When masks were still available, he was telling people to get N95s. I was telling people after that, hey, wear your mask. This ain't no joke. Wash your hands. Take care of yourself. This going to fill your lungs. What, fam, what are we talking about now?
We're talking about how lazy Harvard is. All you had to do is go on Tone Talks and scroll a little bit. You'll run smack dab into that video. Like I mean, researchers, like peer reviewed, they're not my peers, and I'm a college burnout. This is crazy.
Burnout. Wait, did you see any of that, JP? What did you think about that?
Well, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this boldly and unapologetically. I directly credit Antonio Moore for saving lives of countless people. Were it not for that video, I think, unfortunately, and I'd like to believe otherwise, but I think there would be a lot of Black people in general, but a lot of ADOS people, unfortunately, who probably still wouldn't have taken the COVID virus seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Reggie.
I'm sorry, you can finish. You good?
No, please go ahead.
Okay, and again, badly researched. We canceled our conference over concerns around COVID-19, and we excoriated Tariq Nasheed and the whole FBA clone organization for holding a conference while this pandemic was still running around, and not only holding the conference, but just poorly organized, putting people at risk, didn't feed them, standing outside, mask on, mask off.
Yep.
We took this with the utmost seriousness while we canceled the conference as we were building momentum. We put the people, above whatever aspirations they have
I put a tweet up about that, Reg. I put a tweet up and said, it's okay. I said, no regrets here. Sometimes you got to love your people more than they love themselves. We're never going to risk our conference becoming a COVID super spreader event. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a cash grab. All is well. I said that in September of 2020. So I went on record as saying, and listen, people talk about, there are a lot of people who just would have been like, it's gonna be some money in it. I'm gonna just try to find a way to take the money because there's some money in having a conference. I'm gonna sell me some tickets. I don't care who gets sick. Right. That's not what I said. I also had some up in the newsletter. I know, Harvard, y'all didn't do enough research to figure out that I sent the newsletter, but I said, I'm distributing this newsletter to a wider audience just so we can share a bit more information about COVID-19, especially as it relates to the impacts on ADOS life. Pay particular attention to this article. I put articles in the newsletter specific about COVID because I wanted my people to understand about COVID and be able to separate. I know we have hard lives, stuff goes on, so I wanted to be able to separate the truth from the false and let you know, okay, this is true. I don't have no verification for this. And it's just kind of this idea that we were we were first.
Right.
I was diligent.
Mm.
You know, every show, newsletters. I can't track down for you each newsletter that had like a COVID article in it where I talked about it. I did that a lot. And so for you to come out and say, well, the problem is ADOS what did they say? There were a lot of people who were doing different stuff, right? We know old boy over there, FBA, was saying we don't got to worry about no COVID. We got melanin, as if melanin protects you. And I said, remember to hold people accountable who are spreading misinformation about COVID. I said that. To read, boys. Yeah, boys, right there. We knew weeks ago, boys. We knew this while you were spreading skepticism about the coronavirus. You're dangerously late here. I told him that him and Tariq was spreading stupid stuff that was not true. I was one of the listen. So how do you say that? So how do you then come in and say that we're spreading some kind of misinformation or minimizing the impact of COVID?
Like literally all you had to do was go on Twitter and search Breaking Brown COVID. These people are lazy. Oh my Lord.
Or they got an agenda, Reggie. Or they have
that too.
Got an agenda.
That's the thing. They wouldn't have then been able to do disinformation creep, because clearly it's a lie to claim that ADOS has ever shown a lack of concern for Black America during the pandemic. And the thing is, Harvard itself recently released a report that supports the core aim of the ADOS down ballot position, which is securing reparations. And that study that Harvard released highlighted how if the US had paid reparations to the descendants of Black Americans who were enslaved, the risk of severe illness and death from the virus would be far lower. And so the question that is just obvious is, how does Harvard in one report vilify the efforts of ADOS to secure a commitment for reparations for the American descendants of slavery, claiming that in doing so, they're supposedly being indifferent to the loss and suffering caused by COVID-19. And then in a separate report, they're demonstrating that reparations for slavery would have been the single most important factor in saving countless Black American lives. And it comes back again to the fact that they're doing disinformation creep. Disinformation creep, the sort of icing on the cake of it, is one that may even be at odds with the interest that it purports to support. So how are the authors of this report claiming that their interests are Black Americans while just completely trying to delegitimize the movement that is actually capable of doing that?
Well, we got it up on the screen, Paul. Isn't this the ringleader? Who didn't have anything relevant or actionable or beneficial to say about COVID?
Yep. And so that tweet, I'm looking at the date, that's 2/26/20. So news media is reporting that the coronavirus may spread throughout the US. So I went to the CDC website to learn about prevention, and they said the best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to this virus. They providing the same instructions for avoiding the cold and flu. This ain't it. The coronavirus ain't it. Black America, it ain't it. Don't worry about it.
And just compare that to Antonio's video with specifics.
Which I think was the next day that he put that out.
The same month. Look at that.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like, what are you talking about? No, She is the person, this ain't it. Right?
Yep. And she is very much tied to this report. She sort of laid the foundation for all of the work that she put out prior to the Harvard authors doing this. It reads very, very similarly. And so for her to have such an apathetic attitude towards the coronavirus and the implications for Black America, well, it's just really disgusting.
Absolutely. And I this tweet up is I was going to Fox News too, right? About how they were saying that coronavirus isn't a problem. You showed me going at boys. I went at everybody. So this idea, Antonio did the tweet that let everybody know you got to get, like Jamie said, save lives. You got to get your N95. Said what kind of mask to get, not just to get a mask. Right. What kind of mask you need. It turns out that's true, N95. And so we were both doing our level-headed bets. Now, if you want to talk about who got in the way of that, it talked about 5G or whatever. That was Tariq and Boyce. Had nothing to do with us. We are not tied to those groups. There are groups they were trying to hinge on and shoehorn their way into what we were doing, but we pushed back and that didn't happen. You have to do your research, or else you're getting into really, really bad kind of territory in terms of what you're saying about us, because you have a list here that is absolutely not true. And it is extremely problematic. So I just want to give y'all the chance to give some last words and talk to the family about, what's happening, all that stuff. Jamie, you have something to say?
You have people who were willing to put profit before the survival of ADOS and Black people. There's no other way to put it.
True.
They're either trying to sell a conference or they're trying to sell flashcards. Look who's advocating for us. Tone was out early. Yvette was out early spreading the information. That in and of itself, you don't even have to go further with that. That in and of itself speaks volumes. I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely, fam. Anybody else have last words?
Yeah, I just want to say that thanks to Antonio Moore in that broadcast, because at first I was looking at like, is this real or is this some more, foolery from the government? I don't know what's going on. I was so confused about it. But when Tone went live, that was the point that made me look like, wait a minute, maybe this is
might be something to this. Might be something to this.
So I hopped online and my whole family was laughing and thought I was being extra and this, that, and the third. I said, Tone did a whole show. He said, blah, 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 blah. I was able to order N95 masks. I ordered so many of them that I was able to share them with my other family members.
When they were still available for purchase, because they sold out quick.
They didn't get any. So by the time they really realized that I was right, because listening to Tone's broadcast about it, they didn't get a chance to get any because there weren't any anywhere. But I had ordered so many, I was able to share them. And I appreciate Tone for that. And I'm here to say, ADOS knows that COVID is real. It's not a hoax. I know that it's real and it's not a hoax. I lost my old man to it in November. And 2 days after he passed away, I was diagnosed with it and I almost died from it. It's real. And ADOS has always taken the position of seriousness where COVID is concerned. Like Yvette said, we were so hyped up and wanted that conference. And even those of us who thought we still should have that, and Tone stood on their square. No, fam, we ain't doing that. We'll get back to it in due time. But right
alive and breathing, and condolences to you, Marvina. We happy that you're here with us, and we happy that you were able to survive it, because y'all know you do the best you can with the masks, but ain't nothing foolproof. Ain't nothing foolproof, and that's kind of what you run up against. So I'm gonna let the last words of Reggie, Paul. Y'all have any last words before we move on and answer some more questions from the people based on this survey we took?
Yeah, I would say a lot of this is not only laziness. They have a hidden agenda. It's work avoidance. A lot of it is just, you just come to the source. Yvette, ain't your DMs open?
Always.
Like my DMs are closed. Y'all can kiss my black behind, but Yvette's DMs are open. Editor at Breaking Brown, everybody knows how everybody can reach Yvette from the layman all the way up to the White House. The DMs are open. So if you have a question like, Yvette, what's going on here? Yvette, what is this? Yvette, what is that? No, some random account online hurt my feelings. Now ADOS is trash.
Yeah,
that's really what this comes. That's really what a lot of this comes down to.
You release a whole report and you don't talk to neither one. We have two founders of this movement. You didn't try to reach out to either one of them.
Nope.
A lot of the media is guilty of this as well.
Absolutely.
And even when you look at the media, and even when you look at a lot of Jam's work, it says we believe, it is believed, it has been suspected.
Ooh.
We suspect this.
Language is important.
But yeah, language is important.
Didn't the Russ Contreras article, they had to retract that because
yes, Russ Contreras is working with Jam, whatever her name is, and they had to retract some stuff that they put in the AP about us because it was wrong. And so we reached out to, and Tony and I reached out to the AP and said, this is absolutely wrong. And they had to write an explainer, and the managing editor apologized. Listen, y'all are gonna let this Jam person get y'all in a bunch of mess because you cannot substantiate any of the stuff she's saying because she has an axe to grind that goes back over a year now. In terms of what she wants to do and how she wants to do it. And I have a question about like where she's getting the funding for that. But apparently nobody wants to ask about funding except for me. But we need to ask about some funding for some other people who seem to be on a mission to destroy a reparations movement. And that is extremely problematic. But you're exactly right, Paul, in terms of exactly what is happening, right? So we have to get on top of that. And you know, we're on top of it now. We're here and we ain't going nowhere. So best of luck to everybody who come to destroy us.
and again, when we look at Jam, what she anchors her so-called research and work in is based on the work of a certain musician who shall not be named, which again, when you go back to Farrah Stockman's article in the New York Times, she searched high and low, talked to everybody, including that man. And she said a lot of people claimed that there was some nefarious right-wing connection. No such connection was proven to exist. Those who said the claim did not have any evidence to back it up. So either produce the claim or hush. Show me the check that we got cut from the right wing.
I've been waiting on it. Everybody accused me. I said, show me the monies.
And like my check from Vladimir Putin, it didn't clear. It's not in my bank. So I mean, if y'all can find the money, I'll take the money.
Let me tell you, when they were accused of being Russian bots, Rich, let me tell you something. I went so far as to go to my PayPal to make sure I couldn't take what they got, rubles or whatever it is. I don't want to take that kind of money. I don't want that money. Don't send no kind of ruble or nothing this way. It's got to be a US dollar. So I think we absolutely did all that. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for being here as like real people, not bots. And I want to thank you all. Everybody, nobody knows about your contribution. All of you have made significant contribution to the work that we're doing. I want to thank Paul Sowers specifically because of your rebuttal to Harvard, which will be available Monday, fam. So Monday, please, fam. I'm gonna do another call to action, but please, Monday, fam, go and download that rebuttal. It'll be on our website and send it to the people that we need to have it. Send it to the people who have been propagating this stuff. Send it to people who need to know what ADOS is really about, as opposed to what they keep smearing us and trying to say we're about. We need to take control of our own narrative and our own story, and sharing Paul's rebuttal is a great way to do that. So I want to thank all y'all as we're about to transition to some questions, because it's a town house. I want to hear from the people, but thank y'all, fam.
Thank you. It's a real honor to be here with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you.